Hi, everybody, and welcome to Duckpin Magic. I'm Mike Sello, with me, Joe Rainier, and Joe, we're back in Newington, Connecticut as we continue to climb up the ladder for this 1992 Coors Cutter Classic.
Well, we're still looking for a champion. We have $3,000 check sitting on top. We have 6 matches left. We'll be back with David Buote looking for win number 2 as he won our last match last week, Mike.
All right, you stay with us. We'll be back right after these messages. It's David Buote against Marty Nalbandian as we have our number 7 seed taking on our number 6 seed. Marty has chosen to go first. He's out of North Kingstown, Rhode Island. Bowls at Meadowbrook Lanes. 127 average. He's got a high career game, 218, and a high career set of 523. And Joe, what does the handicap look like for this match?
Well, we have Marty with 34, David Buote 47, so we're what, 13 pins difference in the 2 bowlers. 1-3 spare shot. Look out. Well, he had little footwork problems in practice, Mike. I was watching, and he wasn't real comfortable at the line. I really couldn't tell whether he was sticking or slipping. You know, sometimes if you're sliding too much in recovering, your appearance will look to people like you had trouble sliding, but I'm not sure what situation he's dealing with.
All right, David Buote will step in. Those of you who were with us last week, you saw David defeat Don Rhodes in his first appearance with a couple of shots like that.
I think he enjoyed winning last week. Would like to continue. I talked to David, and he said this is his first, what he called a major type tournament. Here you see a repeat. It sort of throws a slider. It just eases its way back from left to right when he stays down under the ball real well. But he said he bowled in a few local type tournaments, but was real pleased and had no idea that he'd still be around at this point.
Well, he has got a 111 average, high career game of 160, and a high career set of 413. Likes to play golf along with doing a little bowling.
It's an important ball, working on a strike. Let the first ball get away. Needs to just smooth it out. Out like that. 22 pin lead, 66-44. Good first frames these bowlers are having.
Yeah,
Mike,
can't argue with those.
Their system of scoring, of course, as you may have noticed, we do add the handicap in to the pinfall in the first frame. Therefore, get some pretty high. Matter of fact, get some impossible totals in the first frame, but it allows the bowlers to.
The first couple of frames are usually unusually high. Here's Marty. Now Bandian back in again.
Have a pin out front.
So Marty will have the ball here. Nice shot.
Cool as a cucumber when you have to wait. There you see it. Did the same thing again.
Just as pretty that time as it did the first time around. A little trouble that time, stuck. Might be willing to be stuck on that lane all the time. He ends up with results like that. Counts 9 on the strike, the spare rather, which certainly helps him out. Offsets the strike by David Buote in the first frame.
Big pin here. When you sort of have to make up this handicap, you just
got it. Back-to-back marks for Marty Nalbandian, and now David Buote will step back in again. David, a bricklayer, is married, has 3 children: Kristen, Karen, and David. His wife Cheryl. Sure, looking on, right?
I'm sure.
Figuring, what is he doing there?
How far are we going on this vacation, right? It's up to you, Dad.
Yeah.
4.
You go to someplace like Maine for the weekend or California, right? Depends on how far you can go up the ladder. Ooh.
All right, you have to recover, sort of assess what it is you've done with the first 2 balls and make a little correction. Oh, dangerously close.
Duckpin Magic now moves to further action in this same match. Hope you're enjoying the action today wherever you might be watching.
Hit the top 5 from south of Connecticut. Fairlanes College Park,
There's a
Southwest.
strike.
Making it tough on his opponent. He's just, you know, he's not beating him to death. He's just showing up
Just
when he
doing
has
enough
to
to
show
stay out
up.
in front. Yep. Let's see what Marty can answer back with. There you go, Marty. No. Boy, that thing was just about 3/4 over.
I think it would have fallen. The pin sort of laid against it. And
Again, Marty has a 127 average. He's had a high game of 218 and a high career set of 523, so he's put some numbers up on the board.
it was a nice ball.
He's right on the nose with that one. So he matches marks in the 6th frame.
It was a big spare for Marty. I mean, you know, David has his mark, strike up in frame 6, and you're 14 down. If you don't mark, I mean, you're running out of time. One game head-to-head match goes by in a hurry. Could have used that. Again, had a little trouble at the line. I really believe he's slipping. I feel like his foot's going out to the left on him a little bit, losing balance.
Nice try.
Tough shot.
Yep. Although you're probably better off, as you mentioned, to shoot the 10 and bounce it off the board, see what happens.
Just throw it at the hole and, you know, hope you catch the 10 thin. It's, I don't know, Mike, you bowl. I think sometimes when you get a split, you just get this feeling that you can make it. And you may shoot the 10 off the wall, let's say 10 consecutive times, and all of a sudden you leave the 9, 10, and something says, I think I can slide this, you know, tilt this over. I've thrown a few balls down the middle, and I feel pretty sharp.
On the strike.
Got away with it. A little bit left, and left the 1-3-6. Very makeable. And this is a big shot. With 3 frames left, Marty with 126 in the 7th. Putting some distance between. Very smoothly done. I tell you, he's picking up confidence, and could be a tough opponent for quite a while. Easy game. Seems to maintain his composure well.
Right on the money with that one.
Opened his lead. He's 16 plus, and we're missing a ball. I think I hear it coming down the tracks.
It's the 345 from Boston Station.
Pulling into Newington, Tebow Lanes, home of the new world record duckpin game, 279. Peter Signori Jr.
And a rather large banner signifying that and illustrating exactly how Peter did score that 279.
Right here on our Coors Cutter Duckpin Classic lanes. The only thing wrong with that banner, it could be 10 times that big and it still wouldn't be big enough. What do you think, Mike? Is it going to be broke? I told you how I feel, and I'm not about to change how I feel. I don't believe it'll be beat.
Well, about a year ago, I think Stacy Carton, who's also our tournament director and publisher and editor and writer, and he does everything but deliver the Duckpin News, which is the official newspaper of the Duckpin game. He asked people if they thought there would ever be a 300 game, and I answered in the affirmative. So I tend to think anything's possible. Well, I know your feelings on the subject, and if the guy has 11 strikes in a row, you're going to go jump behind him.
I'm going to yell 9. Foul. It's anything.
Fire. It doesn't matter. Hey, some guy's got your car.
The manufacturer sneeze, right?
I tell you, there must have been quite a crowd that night when Mr. Signori Jr. there was down this end of the house, and everybody was standing behind him watching.
I'm sure. But you know, the pressure wasn't there, Mike. I mean, and I'm not saying, I'm not taking anything at all from the 279 game. Just a super game, and the score speaks for itself. But he did make a spare in the first frame, the 7-8 split. you can't shoot 200 or 300 at that point. So when you start stringing the strikes, 300's not on your mind. There's, you know, I want to see the guy that has 10 in a row or 9 in a row. Let me tell you, that approach can be a very lonesome place. And I believe that after 7, 8, 9 strikes in a row, it's going to become very lonesome. And when you start hearing your heartbeat and you can't breathe properly, it's just, and of course we all know that you could possibly throw 3 strikes and not hit the head pin. I mean, that part's possible.
Meanwhile, Marty trailing by 23. He knows he's got to put some strikes on the board and push through the middle, leaving the 7-10 split.
Maybe Pete took all the strikes off of the 29 and 30.
Could be.
Certainly didn't take the pin action off. We watched him dance around for a number of weeks. Second largest duckpin facility in the duckpin industry. 48 lanes here at T-Bowl Lanes in Newington, Connecticut, and just what a super job they did for this tournament. I don't know of any of the bowlers that wouldn't be back if they had the opportunity, you know, to come back and compete in any tournament. It was just a nice weekend. If we needed anything, you just ask, and it was taken care of. The hospitality here and the facilities, the housing where we stayed for the tournament, just it was great.
David Buote picks up another mark. It's his 5th of the match. Gives him a 168 plus to 144 lead.
So they have to really like his demeanor, you know, is just a walk in the park, you know. It's
with a big fill, if I'm not mistaken, he can send Marty packing.
Well, Marty can shoot 174, so actually a 4 count here will 170 with 2 pins, 172. He needs 3 on this ball, and he can prepare himself for Wayne Oldham. You got a winner. Well, okay, Mike, I know what you're waiting for me to say. He needs 1 more pin.
He just told me he needed 3 more. So.
He can't lose. He can tie.
That's right. We'll wait till he's officially crowned. Yeah, there you go. All right, now you officially have a winner. David Buote will come back, and he'll face off against Wayne Oldham. We'll have it all for you on Duckpin Magic right after this. Well, it is David Buote taking on Wayne Oldham. David finished off with a 179 in his last game to defeat Marty Nalbandian, and now we move on to see Wayne Oldham for the first time. Wayne's got a 124 average, high career game of 198, 481 career set, and that's for 3 games. He has got 36 pins for a handicap, so that means David Buote with 47 pins will have an 11 pin advantage right off the bat as far as handicap is concerned. And for Wayne, he'll have to throw a 3rd ball here in the first frame. He is from West Hyattsville, Maryland. He bowls at Fairlanes College Park. And our next bowler as well, Jim Mowery, is also out of that area and bowling at College Park. So should be interesting to see. But right now it's David Buote winning 2 in a row and looking to make it a 3rd one right here. David from Johnston, Rhode Island, bowls at the Hearthside lane.
Mike, I think it'd be fair to say, and certainly not in a negative way, but just to point out the fairness of the Coors Cutter Duckpin Classic, that David's probably one of the lower average qualified bowlers. And I really think you'd find out that if you had more low average bowlers attempt to qualify at the center level, you would have more of them at this level. And you know, you'll have people say, well, the low average bowler doesn't do well even in handicap tournaments. Well, the reason they don't is because the percentage of participants is so much lower.
couldn't prove it by David today. He's done okay for himself.
Sure
Originally
has.
started as the 7th seed. He is battling it out. He finishes no worse than 6th, and they move into the 5th slot and continue to work up the ladder.
Those are the things that you need to avoid if you're going to keep winning. Just a little tough luck. He's pretty much had things his way, and when he threw a ball in that direction, it would catch 2 pins and end up with, 6 or 7, sometimes 8.
Well, we saw him do this once before.
And then flirted with it again. Let's see if he stays left. I think early in the game, I would have to make sure I was on the left of the number 1 pin.
Wow.
You do it your way, David. It's a little hard on my nerves.
Well, I'll tell you, he...
Well, I give him a lot of credit. That is better than overcorrecting and knocking off the 7 pin. So you don't really know what's going through his mind at that time. And maybe he did favor the left side, and he missed by, 6, 8 inches.
Wayne just put a little emphasis on that ball.
A little crank. The Roger Clemens slider.
Finish up with the 3rd ball here. 2nd frame. Wayne works with the U.S. Postal Service. Plays both slow and fast pitch softball. I wonder if he's the pitcher. We've just zipped that bowling ball down the lane. Could be. There's a strike.
I tell you, his ball does not lack rotation, as we'll see here. He's under it good. I tell you, he comes up. Look at it. Right dead on the head pin.
Splash. David Buote back. Open frame. And hold it left just a bit.
Didn't work out too bad.
No. That's what you were talking about before, about him getting a break here or there. And thus far, he's been able to take advantage of it. That's, I guess, the key. You can get a break and not do anything, and then...
Well, you have a 111 average bowler that's thrown 4 strikes and
took advantage of it there, right on the nose. Mark for David Buote in the 3rd frame.
6 spares and 22 frames, and has yet to be behind. That's the key. He has maintained. He's got out of the gate. Marked in the 2nd frame of his first match, and marked in the 1st frame, and that's a little added pressure on the opponent when say you got a little fortunate here. He hit the 3 pin. Hey, that's all count. 86 in the 3rd frame, 65 plus for Wayne. 21 pins minus the strike. See if he can get himself settled. He's been a little jerky with this ball. He's just not quite as settled. You see him, the pop is, and he's right at the end of his slide will pull him off. Only David will know what he shot at with that 3rd ball that time. Hit the number 10
That's right.
at 9.
95 after 4 for David Buote. Wayne Olden will step back in.
Big ball for Wayne. You can sort of change the trend early here with a 9 count and a spare, or just a spare doubleheader.
Wow. How about a double? That certainly changes the trend, and that was a pretty one, too. That sent 10 pins into the pit as 1.
Beautifully thrown ball. Look, you can see it churning.
Duckpin Magic now moves to further action in this same match.
Wow. Wow.
Nice ball. He jacked that one up a little bit.
Yeah, he sure did.
Maybe he felt as though, you'll see here, he stays under the ball so well. See where his hand's at? And he gets good revolutions on the ball. Actually, the 7 come all the way over. Well, 2 of them hit the 9 at the same time. Nonetheless, it's a strike in frame number 6 as Wayne Oldham. Oldham tries to answer the call. A lot of distance between the pins, Mike, as you see.
There was evidence right there, as it looked like there was no way that that pin could sneak through between the 1 and 2, and it did.
Didn't touch a thing.
Didn't even make a wiggle.
No. 1, 2, 4 for a spare. Yep, overshot it. Yeah, David, I tell you, for 111 average bowler, he has thrown, 2 strikes a game. That's a lot of strikes. I know most people really probably can't relate to that statistic, but very few bowlers average much over 1. Even at the 140, 148 average level, to average 2 is you're doing well. That's 6 strikes in a league match. And lost his footing there on the left lane and knocked 3 off the right corner to 6, 9, and 10.
So David holding a 114 plus 2 balls to 113 lead for Wayne Oldham. That's because David Buote has got the mark working for him in the 6th frame.
Got him moving.
Wayne, yeah, I was going to say, it looks like Wayne's trying to throw a little bit harder. After he got that double, it seemed like he's got himself a little pumped up and
has no idea that he's doing that. No idea. It's just the human thing. The adrenaline starts flowing, and let's face it, we like throwing strikes, and we get pumped up and try to throw one more. And when you don't give the ball time to get into its turns, its revolutions, it flattens out. As we've mentioned, Nolan Ryan or Roger Clemens, if you throw it so hard it loses its hop, it's just a dead ball, whether it's a baseball or the Duckpin bowling ball.
well,
Tell you what, he got back on track in a hurry.
put a serious crimp into Wayne's hopes here with a mark.
I tell you, he appears to have a plan. He knows what he wants to do.
Nope.
Big pin. Keep that lead at 10 or 11 pins. That's a lot different than 9.
Threw the ball a little bit better there. 133, 123.
I'll tell you what happened, Mike. He had missed the head pin a couple times in a row, and then he threw a strike. So he really has not thrown balls anywhere but down the middle for the last 3 frames. So all of a sudden the 7 pins jumps up, and it's in a strange position.
Well, the winner of this match will move on to face James Mowery. That is for the right to advance to our Final Four show.
Well, it really didn't. Of course, the 9-10 is a much harder shot than the 3-9-10, but even the 3-9-10, I think we shoot the 3-9-10 wrong, Mike. We shoot it to slap it off the wall, and I believe we should shoot the hole and bring the 3 off the other wall to get the 9. Because when you slap the 3 into the right-hand wall, it tends to disappear, or it'll come out in front of the 9. But you try to keep everything in that corner, so it's tough to mentally say, well, I'm going to shoot it to 3-10 and hope it comes off. So 9 frame, 142.
Well, Wayne Oldham can actually take the lead with a mark and a big fill here. Time is running short as we enter frame number 8 for Wayne. David Buote has finished 8 frames with a score of 142. Wow.
Tell you, he's had the ball in the right place 3 times, and here you'll see almost a replay of his strike in frame 4. Watch the ball. Let's see, people, there's, of course, the 5s there. Obviously, the 5, a pin comes off the wall. Very few people, you hear the old term, no drive, no five. You really do not want to drive the 5 out in this game with the ball. The ball has got to deflect and carry some of the pins down whatever side it happens to be on. That ball was in the 1-3 pocket, and you saw the ball walk down the line. The head pin goes to the wall and sort of takes out just about everything else.
Well, he knocks 8 down with the first ball, looking for a mark.
Boy, if they overshot 2 pinners. It's over the whole course of the Coors Cutter Classic.
Ties us at 142 after 8 frames. Even 151 in the 9th. David Buote will step back in.
I mean, here you get Wayne with perspiration all over his face, and old cool Dave here just
Like a walk in the park.
walk out and get the newspaper, come back in. Nice and smooth with that release, but 5, 7, 8.
But he threw that a little harder.
Well, he got it out.
Yeah.
It didn't get into the roll. It just was, if we could count the revolutions, I bet you when we had a third of what the good ball has when it hits the pins. It's still skidding. It was close.
Very close. He's going to want to pick up at least 2 here. Perhaps the 5 and the 8 so that he can tie this match up again. 151, 150. A 1-pin advantage for Wayne Oldham as we head into the 10th frame. This is actually what Wayne wanted. He wanted David to finish up, and then he would be in a situation where he could win his own match. That's why he chose to go first.
Let's see if he gets this one on the floor. There it was, got it out.
And he tried to pump up on it a little bit, and yeah, you can tell when you release the ball if you've got the right speed. Good things seem to happen.
Well, you can feel it in your
Yeah.
fingers. If you're throwing the ball with your arm, it's just not going to get the revolutions you need to move the pins. But if the timing's proper and you can just shut that hand on the ball and give it the snap, that's what revs it up. I call it stuffing it. You know, when it's sort of stuffed where it goes, it's dead. You just don't see too much pin action. Well,
159, 151, and Mr.
9.
Oldham just needs 9 to win it.
That can be a lot of pins sometimes.
Depends on what happens to your first ball, I guess. Huh?
Let's watch and see.
James Mowery, our number 4 seed, awaiting the winner.
Uh-oh. Let me tell you something. You know how many things can happen right now? I don't have time to explain them. He's going to throw the ball before I'd get it out of my mouth. But if he takes the head pin off, which is very possible.
Then he's looking at 3 soldiers lining up
well,
the
then,
back row.
And then he's going to hit 1 to tie.
Yep. Wow. And that is it. Wayne Oldham
Well, it might
edges
have been
out
a thing
David
of
Buote in the last frame.
wasn't a thing of beauty, but it goes in the win column for Wayne Oldham. Our winner by 1.
By 160, 159, and we move to our final match of today's Duckpin Magic. Coming up right after this. It's Wayne Oldham and Jim Mowery facing off for the right to advance to the Final Four show next week right here on Duckpin Magic. But we've got to come up with a winner first. Jim Mowery from Berwyn Heights, Maryland. He is bowling out of College Park, as does Wayne Oldham. They bowl a couple of leagues together. So somebody's going to go home not so happy between the two.
Well, the leagues are over, so they won't
Have to worry about that until next September.
That's right.
Jim Mowery, 123 average. He's got a high career game 213, high career set 500. And he is stepping in with a total of 37 pins on the handicap. And with Wayne having 36 pins, it's only a 1 pin differential, so it's virtually scratch. Although, as you saw in the last game, 1 pin is all we really need. We've had numerous close matches throughout this Coors Cutter TV finals.
Well, and even with the score, sometimes was not really indicative of how the game ended up. You know, we had some wins at 7, 8, 10 pins, but it didn't take place until the last frame or so. So they ran along nip and tuck.
All right, Wayne Olden, first ball. Drops 9, leaves the 7 pin. If you're just joining us, Joe, we do add the handicap in the first frame, so that's why unusually large scores the first couple of frames will be indicated there. But then it gets it out of the way for us, and we know that we don't forget it down the end.
Right, if you tune in the middle and say, that's impossible, you're right, except that it's handicapped, so.
So Wayne will have third ball coming up. And it stays a 1 pin match. No, tied. Okay.
All even.
46 all. So the handicap is gone.
9 frame match. Wayne has not made a spare. He won the last game with a doubleheader in the 3rd and 4th and a strike in the 8th. 160, 159.
Wow.
Still doesn't have a spare.
Throws a ball like that, he won't want a spare.
That hurt.
Watch it.
See the position of his arm, it's like a bar, and when he comes through, it's churning. But the difference is, see where he put the ball on the lane earlier. Jim didn't think too much of that.
Jim's a carpenter. There's some pin action that gives him a mark.
Didn't turn out so bad.
First mark of the match for him. Said something to our scorekeeper there, like maybe you can find 10 or 15 pins to slide in on me. Cut you in on some of the action here.
So when you hear me call for help, be there, right? Answer.
There's a nice shot.
I don't know what he
Follow
said
up the
to him,
spare.
but he must have got the right answer.
Maybe she said, hey, just throw it down the middle and don't worry about anything else. I'll take care of the score, as you see him right there. Makes the game a lot easier when all of them go down at the same time.
Slowed that ball up. Sort of pulled it left, took out the 2-8. He's working on a strike. I'm not too sure of the spare. You know, this shows you what this game does. Jim gets up, throws it in the left corner. You're the opponent, and you think, boy.
Wow.
Couldn't have happened any better. You know, he's going to have a bad frame, makes a spare, throws a strike. Now Wayne jumps up, pulls it off the left for 2. So Jim's saying, I got him. And then he makes the spare. There's still 66. We could be here a long time if they stay like that long enough. Like.
Count 7 on the mark. And Craig Romer sitting on top as the #1 seed, waiting for all this to be decided so that he can get on with the business of bowling. Long wait when you're number 10. When you're #1 and you're waiting for the other 10 to fight it out to see who's going to bowl you for the championship.
Guarantee you wouldn't have traded places with any of the other 9, Mike. It is a long wait, but you'd rather be sitting on top knowing you can only finish as bad as second.
92 after 4 for Wayne Oldham. Jim Mowery steps in working on the strike.
Opportunity for a double. Told you.
Not exactly your classic strike, but the
I'll clean
results are the same.
I'm gonna clean it up and put it on his paper. See? Third and fourth frames. Wayne Oldham last game with the doubleheader. This time it happened to him. You see,
Well, now he's got a chance for a triple. See if
That-
he can get it back on track. All right.
his partner, I say his partner, his opponent, just kind of threw his head back and said, well, I just lost another friend. I don't like Jim anymore.
We don't see where the ball hits, but
I
it
think
hit
it
off
caught
to
the
the
left.
Yeah,
It caught the left side of the head pin, very light.
got the good mix, and now Wayne is in some trouble. Well, you can get out of trouble real quick with shots like that.
That's how you get out. You just answer the call.
I tell you, this game is easy when you knock all of them down at once.
Yes, isn't it? Speeds things along too. You know, the game be over before you know it.
There's about a half dozen guys like that.
It sure adds up quick, Mike. Pin in the channel, we're going to clear out. 102 plus. 5 pins standing. 128, 610 in the right corner. Very makeable. Every time I
Sure
say that,
was.
they make it. You know, it's really a tough shot, huh? You know?
Perfect placement.
Keeps the pressure on Jim, working on a triple.
Actually, that was a better ball than two of the other ones. And
I think that's exactly what Wayne's thinking.
all he ends up with is a 9 drop there, but he'll take it. And he picks up the mark as well.
I think it's one of the toughest marks in a game of bowling to make, is after a triple, four-bagger, double, you break 9, and it's kind of hard. You know, you're looking for the four-bagger, and it's hard to get back to the situation at hand, and especially when they stick the single in the corner like that.
Well, it's a 145, 112 plus for both bowlers after 5 frames, and they say plus because they both have marks coming up in the 6th frame. So 33 pin advantage for Jim Mowery, and he steps over to the left side of the pair and will bowl on lane 29. And another one.
With the handicap, Mike, we're going to be over 200. Of course, he gets 37 pins, and he keeps going like this, and here you're going to see another version of a strike.
That head pin again does a lot of work side to side. Took out the 5 pin as the last pin standing. Push through the middle there. These bowlers are fighting it out to be among the final 4 next week when the big money starts to be handed out. 5th position pays $500, not bad, but when you consider that the 4th position pays $750, 3rd position pays $1,000, then it goes up to $1,500 for the runner-up and $3,000 for top position. I'd like to continue to throw a ball and hope that something good happens.
And I think when you get into the last week and the dollars get bigger and you get closer to the championship, which is certainly means more even than the check, that the guy that can capture that first game or get a couple under his belt then maybe has an edge. You know, as we watch the ladies, of course, the top seed did win the tournament, but that is a rarity. I mean, I would believe that statistics say that the top seed probably loses more matches than they win. Now, come off out of the channel, have to respot the number 7.
Wayne will try to pick up the 7 pin with the 3rd ball. Got it. So 145 after 8 complete frames. And here's Jim Mowery, again working on a strike as he enters the 8th frame.
Good ball.
Ooh, he thought that was it.
He sure did. That was like a knockout punch he threw at it after he let the ball go. He knew 10 pins were going in the pit. Got a heck of a game. Minus 37 pins and a couple more marks. We're still shooting at 200, Mike. Open in the first 9 frame and then spare, triple header, spare strike. Makes another one. Isn't it fun? 195 plus in the 8th. Two more marks. He can shoot 200. Scratch. We need almost a root for, well, 205 Wayne can shoot, so it's almost history right here. So I guess we can root for 200 game.
Yeah, there's one. That'll help.
That rooting worked. 205 with 2 frames to go, and here you see another version of a Jim Mowery strike.
You like that one.
He's thrown 5 of them, and they've all been different.
That's for sure. Here's poor Wayne.
Yeah.
Some pal you turned out to be, he's going to say to Jim after the match.
Forgot who I was. A friend wouldn't do that to me. I think it's easier on both bowlers than a 1-pin match when you are friendly with somebody. It's
nice spare.
He can shoot 185, and of course we have Jim with 215 working on a strike. Easily our highest game.
Of what we have as far as results, it would be tough to figure out what the highest game in the tournament's been with handicap. We know that Mike Trepanier of North Haven, Connecticut, had a 202 scratch, and then if you added his handicap of 15, and he'd have 217. We don't know if somebody had a high 190 game that had a bunch of pins as a handicap.
Wayne broke 9, 164 shooting the number 8. 174 if he hits that pin, and of course you know whatever we're looking for Jim Mowery to shoot like 237, and that would give him a scratch 200. He's 215 plus, so he needs another mark.
Well, Wayne Oldham finishes up 173, and actually for Wayne that's higher than his last game.
Sure is. 13 pins higher. Strike spare in the 2nd, 3rd, strike spare 5th and 6th, and a spare in the 9th.
See what Jim Mowery can do here.
Kick it out. It's okay for me to root, isn't it?
Well, the match has been decided, so I guess it's okay.
I don't want Wayne to hear me. Pretty good sized gentleman there. I'd rather he beat on Jim than me.
Ooh.
I would believe that his opponent would be saying, look, get all this out of your system, you know? We're not going to make it, Mike.
No, we're going to be just shy.
198 if he hits this. No, not 198. 197 if he hits this pin.
And that is it. 233, 173 as Jim Mowery unloads on his buddy Wayne Oldham. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this. Well, I hope you enjoyed that exciting match. Jim Mowery finishes up with a 233, and he joins 3 other bowlers next week in our Final Four show. Joe Rainier will join me. I hope you do too. We'll see you again next time on Duckpin Magic.